Welcome to episode 14, the Brandon Ingram, the Jameer Nelson, the who else?
Gary Harris,
Danny Green. Yeah,
Danny Green. Yep.
that episode of the Blasting Basketballs podcast. This time, I think we should maybe introduce ourselves because on the last episode we kind of just jumped right into things, and that's okay. But instead of just talking basketball, I think it'd be better for the YouTube universe to kind of get to know us. I think it would help in kind of bringing value to the show.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll go first. I'm Steven. I've been a basketball fan for the better part of 15 years now. It all started with my brother. He kind of showed me basketball and like the Celtics, especially being from the Boston area. That's why I'm a Celtics fan. I remember the excitement of the 2008 championship, and my brother was a huge Paul Pierce fan, so I kind of grew to love Paul Pierce as well. Just for me, though, I remember the earliest I remember from watching games is like the 2010 finals. Uh, that was probably my earliest memory. So 2010 onwards is like where the most of my basketball knowledge comes from about the NBA. But I do know things before 2010. It's just from what I've actually watched is 2010 onwards. So I'll be honest with that. Uh, I think what separates me from most NBA fans is I watch the games and I don't just run to the box score or see what the general consensus is on like Twitter or Instagram. I actually watch and I make my own opinions. And I think not a lot of fans actually do that nowadays. I see a lot of fans just point to the box score or see what people think and kind of base their opinions off of that. So I think being able to kind of make my own takes and have my own opinions on things, like
So you're built different, is what you're trying to say.
yeah, like for example, like I'm a Paul George fan, and I know many people are not that nowadays. So I think kind of sticking with what I think, sticking with what I think, and not changing up just because other people think he's not good. Like I think there's value in that. Like I think my opinion is valuable because just the amount of content that I consume and just how long that I've watched and been a part of the NBA fan base. So yeah, Tom, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and just your experience with basketball and the NBA?
Well, that's a very nice story, Steve, I must say. Um, for me, I started paying attention to basketball. I mean, for as long as I could remember, honestly. Like, some of my earliest memories are of basketball or of me playing basketball or watching it. Um, man, like, I remember the JCC leagues that I used to play in when I was like maybe 8 or 7. I don't even remember how old I was, but I was very young. Um, had been playing it since that day, pretty much nonstop up until this year. This year, I really haven't been playing. Um, it's the least I've played like ever in a year, so it's kind of crazy. But other than that, yeah, I've just been a huge fan from day one. I mean, I was a Celtics fan. I know I'm wearing this Celtics sweatshirt right now, but not anymore. I'm just like a fan of the game at this point. Fan of the players because the players make the game. So yeah, and I mean, yeah, that's pretty much it. Um,
So what do
yeah,
you think makes you like kind of stand out as an NBA fan or like a basketball fan?
nothing really. I mean, I'm just an ordinary fan, I guess, like everyone else. Um, I don't know really what makes me different. I don't think that much makes me different at all. Maybe other than the fact that I bet on the games. Maybe not everyone bets on the games, or a minority, I should say, bet on the games. excuse me. Yeah, sorry, I had to get that
No,
out.
no, it's funny. It's funny.
But yeah, so I guess in that aspect of it, I just view the game objectively. I don't pick sides. I don't have any bias. Well, I do pick sides, but I pick sides based on like objective opinions. In terms of like picks, like betting picks, and yeah, you know how the saying goes. I mean, money has no bias, so can't really be thinking about being a fan um, when there's money on the line. So I guess that makes me a
Yeah.
little different. I guess.
Yeah, I
In
think the
that
difference with
aspect.
you is like you kind of view things more from an objective standpoint, where a lot of fans are very subjective and they'll
Mhm.
kind of root for one squad and base all their opinions and bias around that one squad or one player.
Yeah, and with that, it's like um, there's a term called fair weather fan. You said it in the last podcast, but I mean, I guess I kind of am a fair weather fan because when you're betting, like you want you want to bet on the teams that you think are going to do well. So
Mhm.
the NBA, or not just NBA, but sports in general, they change every day, like form, team form, player form, all that. So got to keep an eye out for that. Um, so because of that, um, yeah, I kind of am a fair weather fan, I guess, in that reasoning. So yeah,
So what do you think about the idea of being a fan of a player versus a fan of a team?
I
Like,
think if you're going to be a fan of a team, it's because you have a connection to that team. Have it be because you're from that area, or just because like when you watch that team play, you like have a connection to that team because you like watching them play. You don't have to be from there. It's just maybe because you just like watching that team play. And yeah, so I guess that I guess people have their reasons for being a fan of a certain team, and people have their reasons for being a fan of a certain player.
mhm.
Because when they watch that player, maybe they just like watching that player and they're a fan of that player, or that player like reminds them of them or something. Maybe I don't know. Everyone has their reason,
Mhm.
so it depends on who you ask, I guess.
Yeah, I just don't understand when some people like root for just one certain team, even though they're not really from there, or I don't like it just doesn't seem like they have a real connection to that team. They just do it because it might be like the hype thing to do. I don't know. But
Yeah, everyone has their reasons. I mean, you could say it's because they're bandwagoner. Like that could be the case for some people, but it's all subjective at that point, really. So, but yeah, I mean, I my opinion on it is that I think players make the teams.
Mhm.
Um, like you enjoy watching a team because of the players, I guess. Well, that's how I see it, at least. So for that, I'm just gonna be more of a player fan than I am for a team, because I'm not like a fan of a team, because that's just like too biased. Because teams can't change. Like, I mean, they can relocate, but like can't change a team, right? Like players can change teams whenever they want, but like teams are always going to be there. Um, so yeah, I don't know. It's kind of
one one thing I will say is like I watched a lot of the Celtics games even during this past rebuild with players like Jordan Crawford, like
oh
Kelly
yeah,
Olynyk. Yeah, and like
I have
for some reason like they were pretty bad a lot of those years, but I still enjoyed watching them. Like
yeah. Honestly, it was wicked fun
maybe
back.
it's just because they were the Celtics and like I loved just repping the home team, but like at the same time, it was just there was something enjoyable about watching them, even though they won like 25 games one year. Like
Hmm.
you
Yeah,
can just have an attachment to a certain team. It's weird how things like how emotions play into basketball and like how you kind of don't let your emotions get in the way of things now. So
I feel like you probably, well, I mean, I enjoyed watching them too. I remember the Jordan Crawford era.
Yeah. He won
um,
Player of the Week one week.
yeah, I remember he was going off that week. That was like, yeah, he dropped like 26 against like
Yeah.
the Warriors. I think it was against the Warriors. Yeah, but he went off. I remember when he won Player of the Week. Um, yeah, that was a fun time, even though the Celtics were rebuilding. But I think we had a connection to them because they were the team that would air on TV every night. So like, you had no other team to watch other than them. So, uh, yeah, I mean, they were just so accessible um, to us. So yeah, it was pretty
Yeah.
neat to
Yeah, I
be.
think the accessibility is a big factor because like you can really only watch one team consistently unless you
Mhm.
have like League Pass or something. So that definitely plays a factor. But moving on, so this next season, the 2021-2022 season, it is rumored to start on December 22nd. There's a strong possibility that's going to start then. I would say that's pretty early considering the finals ended not too long ago. But what would you say, like if you were a player and you heard the proposal of a December 22nd start, like what would you be thinking?
As a player, I mean, other than the Lakers and the Heat, I'd be fine with it. But
Hmm.
if I'm the Lakers and the Heat, I'd be like, all right, that's kind of pushing it because they were in the bubble for so long, but uh, it's only two teams, I guess.
Yeah, did you
They're
see
only two teams.
Danny Green was like, I don't think LeBron's going to come to the first month if we start on December 22nd.
Knowing LeBron, that wouldn't surprise me. Um, but I mean, I kind of understand it. I mean, it was such a grueling couple months for them,
Yeah.
and yeah, I mean, to come back this soon, I mean, it's only 2 months from now. They'd be in camp as early as December 1st, so that's even less than 2 months. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm not an NBA player, so I can't say, but I mean, I guess I'd be fine with it other than those two teams. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, apparently it maximizes the league's revenue or potential revenue if they start at that time, which makes
Exactly.
sense with Christmas being like the NBA holiday and
Hmm.
the TV revenue kind of getting them as much as they can because they want to get back on track. They want to start the season after next on time.
Yeah.
So
With
makes
ratings, yeah, sorry.
no, it makes sense.
With ratings being down, with the finals ratings being down 48%, I could see why they'd want the Christmas games aired because they want to make up for some lost moolah.
Yeah, they'd be afraid of the NFL stealing Christmas from them.
Yeah, yeah, they should be. I mean, usually, I feel like usually the NBA does well on Christmas, but I'm not sure. They've been on a steady decline ratings wise, which you hate to see it. But
Yeah.
that's just how it is.
Yeah, we kind of spoke about it before. Like refs kind of hurt the pace of games and
They do,
hurt
man.
the outcome of games. A lot of people complain about it, and eventually they just stop tuning in because of it.
Yeah, they wanted to make sure LeBron got his third ring. I'm convinced. Like
For,
no one's ever gonna can tell me otherwise because they want to protect his legacy. They don't want guys like KD sneaking up on LeBron um, or Kawhi for that matter. Like they want LeBron to like cement his status. So for that, they were going to help him out in any way they could, in my opinion. It's been talked about so much at this point on this podcast. Like
Mhm.
I'll close it at that because this season's gone. So, but yeah, I'll just leave it on that note. I
I,
guess
s- I saw this topic recently. So, do you think Kevin Durant would be the number one consensus player in the NBA if he didn't tear his Achilles? Like right now, do you
you
think he'd
know
be the no doubt number one?
I think there'd be a little doubt. You can make arguments for guys like LeBron, obviously, guys like maybe Giannis, but that's a stretch
Right
at this
now,
point. Kawhi even, but yeah, I think KD would take the honors for that, just because of how much he could do.
yeah, and at the end of the day, people value scoring the most, and
One of the
KD
best
is
scorers
the
ever.
scoring leader whenever he wants to be. So, but yeah, moving on to this upcoming draft, I know there's not really a clear-cut number one pick. I know this because we had our episode covering the 2020 NBA draft on Blasting Basketballs. So if you want to go back and listen to that, we brought on our friend JJ. He's he knows a lot about college basketball, and Tom does too. So they kind of had a little chitter chatter about that. So if you
Yeah,
want to go back,
we could have went on for way longer. We only talked about like 6 guys, if that. But
yeah,
yeah,
it was
so
like a good
yeah,
15 minutes maybe.
yeah, something
It's
like
good.
that.
It's a nice
But
little preview. Yeah, it's a
yeah,
nice preview. So because there's not really a clear cut number one guy, what do you think do you think they're just going to try to move their picks around, kind of get players that are already established instead of taking a risk and drafting somebody they don't know too much about?
yeah. So a lot of the teams in the lottery, um, they're like almost in contention status, I'd say. Like the Celtics have a pick in the lottery, albeit it's not their pick, but they're in the lottery. The Suns are in the lottery, which I mean, I think they're going to be a sleeper next year, big time. Um, I think the Suns have a lot of potential. I think they could go a lot of ways with their pick, whether they draft someone or if they try trading it.
Mhm.
And as well as the Hawks, who have the 6th pick, they've had the most talks about like moving that pick. So you should probably expect to see them make a move on draft night. Um, so yeah, I mean those 3 teams right there, you should look out for, I'd say, regarding like moves or trades that maybe we might see coming. And I love draft night because of that. Like I love trades. I love the action that goes on like behind the scenes and all that. So draft night's a great night for trades and moves and whatnot. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it
Yeah, it really is an eventful time.
very much. Yeah. Um,
So, kind of moving on, a team that I want to talk about is the Mavericks. So, being a Clippers fan, mainly because I like Paul George, I was scared. Like, I was genuinely scared of the Clippers getting knocked out in the first round, especially after Luka hit that game winner and making it a 2-2 series. I was like, bro, Luka is better than, like, he's playing better than Kawhi right now. Like, I'm sorry, but at his age, it's just ridiculous what he's able to do. So, I just wanted to ask you, what do you think is missing from this Mavericks roster? Because I honestly think they're going to win at least one or two championships in the next several years. So, what do you think's missing from their roster?
Defense,
Mhm.
a
In my
solid rim
opinion,
protector.
yeah, because they actually had the highest offensive rating of all time. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's good. But
they're definitely missing an enforcer. Because remember how Marcus Morris would just tackle Luca literally every time, and the only guy that would step up and defend Luca was Porzingis. Like you need somebody other than Porzingis to kind of go in there and defend Luca because like you need that like enforcer, like this tough guy that will kind of protect the superstar. So
so imagine if Giannis goes to the Mavs.
oh,
I
Giannis is
mean,
definitely an enforcer type of guy. I would say
he
he's definitely an
fits
enforcer.
he fits that team to perfection.
Yeah.
Like if they manage to get him, that's a dynasty right there. That's right up there with the Warriors, the Heat. Like that is an insane team. if they manage to get him, because I see a lot of rumors about him going to Dallas. So yeah,
I know
man.
some people would kind of say it's tough to pair two ball handlers together, like two primary ball handlers, but they would figure it out. They would figure.
Giannis isn't even like he doesn't even care if he has the ball. I feel like he just wants to win.
And I think it would help take some of the load off Luca because currently Luca plays like 40 plus minutes a night. So he
Mhm.
kind of needs to take some of that playmaking load away from him.
Mhm.
Like playing that much isn't good in terms of injury risk and things like that, like fatigue.
Yeah,
So bringing another primary ball handler like Giannis would do wonders for them.
yeah, yeah, man. They'd be instant title favorites. Whatever team Giannis goes to, I'm assuming he'd probably pick a good team that has like a good foundation. I don't think he stays with the Bucks. I think that's pretty obvious. But whatever team he goes to,
So Tom, would you feel bad
yep.
if the Celtics shipped Hayward away? Would you feel bad for Hayward?
Bad for Hayward. Well, actually, that's rumors.
Your mic's muffled right now.
Oh yeah, my bad. That's interesting because I've seen rumors about him potentially getting traded to Indiana, which
Mhm.
is his hometown. So maybe that's like a win-win for the Celtics and Hayward.
Yeah,
Um,
there's definitely some buzz around Hayward right now.
yeah, and I think the Pacers. I mean, they have some pieces that could help the Celtics. Um, excuse me. So that could be a potential destination. But as far as feeling bad for him, I guess, I mean, it's a business. Like every player knows that, and then every player will be the first to tell you that. So I don't think I'd feel sympathy for him. I mean, he's still getting paid millions of dollars to play basketball. So
Yeah. He's getting
yeah,
like 34 million this next season.
34.6. Yeah, 34.6. So if he picks up the option, which he probably will, but and yeah, I mean, even if he were to get traded to the Pacers, that's his hometown, so like it wouldn't be too bad for him, I'd say. I mean, I wouldn't mind going back to my hometown to play for that team. So yeah, I mean, I think it'd be fine. I think the Celtics should explore that because there's just a log jam at that position on the Celtics right now, and they could use other pieces. So
Yeah, there really
yeah,
is a logjam.
yeah.
I think
So
this
if they're looking out for their success, then they should really like look at all their options. Like
they would definitely
pretty much,
benefit from adding some size, I believe. Another
definitely.
trade that I kind of thought about was maybe packaging Hayward, finding a way to package him for either Vucevic or Aaron Gordon.
I like Aaron Gordon. I
Vucevic,
definitely like Aaron Gordon.
Vucevic's trade value is too high. Like you would have to throw in a lot to get Vucevic.
I
But
mean that'd be interesting, but I just think I don't know. Like he's too traditional of a big to really.
I see what
Um,
you're saying.
yeah, like bigs are really like you want a big like Adebayo who's like a Swiss Army knife and can guard any position, can play on the ball. Vucevic isn't really like that. He's more of a back to basket guy as well. I mean, he could shoot. He could shoot very well, but he's too traditional for my liking. If I'm the Celtics,
And I
I
think
don't.
what
I
they
don't
would be
think the
asking for
Celtics would explore that.
what
What?
they would be asking for him would be too much, honestly, because I know his
Yeah,
value would
it
be high.
just it wouldn't work. It just wouldn't work.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, Gordon, I like. I like Aaron Gordon. I
Yeah,
think he could give
can do
some
a lot.
an extra push for this team
High
for
motor
sure.
player, big, like really good defender.
Hmm.
He's not the biggest guy on the floor, but with his athleticism, he makes up for his lack of size.
1 sec. Yeah. Um, yeah. Even I remember when the Celtics wanted him in the draft back in 2014, but then they took him at number 4, and the Celtics got smart instead. But yeah, so that there could be something to that for sure.
So kind of moving on to the next topic. So 2K is coming out with a new version of the game with the next gen consoles. Uh, and before I actually jump into that, it's gonna be tough for people like me who figured they could just walk into the store and just pick up the new Xbox or the new PS5 because the back orders and they're not going to be in stock for a couple months. Like you can't just walk into a store and buy the Xbox. I figured that I could. I was stupid in thinking that. Like I should have made an effort to pre-order it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna have to suffer with the current gen for maybe a month or two, unfortunately. But moving on to the next gen of 2K, I'm pretty excited to see what that next jump of gameplay and graphics is because I remember the jump from 360 to Xbox One. Like the gameplay and like the gameplay especially, there was like brand new animations. The physics were like so improved. Like, do you remember that night that we played like a 2K
At
tournament?
Sandscript. At
Yeah,
Sandscript, yeah.
I was blown away. Like, because I was playing 360 at the time, so I didn't really get to experience the next gen.
Mm.
I was blown away, and I knew I had
Yeah,
to get next gen when I played that. So
yeah. I
so I
remember that.
can't wait to try the next gen of like this current. It's actually pretty cool to be like living through another generation of consoles. Honestly,
It's wild, bro. I didn't think it'd be this soon, but here we are.
yeah. Apparently the loading times are like non-existent, so that's awesome. But one thing I wanted to ask you about 2K is the ratings that were released. So the
Oh
first
yeah,
thing I think we should talk about is Jimmy Butler was given a 93 overall. Do you think that's too high? I definitely
way
think it's
too high.
yeah.
He should be like an 89, maybe a
No,
91
with his
max.
recent finals run, I'll give him a 91. But he
Yeah,
really
yeah. Go ahead.
wasn't consistent enough, honestly, to get that 93. Because when you're a 93, you're pretty much a superstar.
Mm.
So, I mean, I understand the recency bias of wanting to call him a superstar, but he's more of a star. He's not a superstar. Superstar is reserved for like upper echelon, top 15.
I'd say Butler's a superstar. I'd say he's a superstar
Maybe with his recent finals run, he kind of jumped into that atmosphere of superstar.
for
But
sure. For sure.
okay. So it's not too far off, but I do think as the year goes on, it's gonna go down a little bit. Another interesting rating grouping is so Donovan Mitchell, Devin Booker, and Paul George all have the same rating of 88. So I am a Paul
Interesting.
George fan, so I'm kind of happy to see him with an 88 because I know he had a pretty bad run recently. So 88 is kind of generous.
That's surprising that they
Yeah,
gave him that low.
but do you think Donovan Mitchell and Devin Booker should have a higher rating than him? Because they all have an 88.
I think it's pretty spot on. I think it's fine. Maybe
I would
Mitchell. Nah, actually, Mitchell went off in the playoffs, so I
yeah,
was gonna say
honestly,
maybe Mitchell in 87, but nah, I think that's fair for everybody involved.
I honestly might have given both Mitchell and Booker an 89 or a 90. I wouldn't have been surprised if I saw Booker with a 90.
Yeah, you really couldn't have gone wrong
There's
with
not
either
many
one.
flaws in Booker's game. I think at some point Booker's going to be like a 95, to be honest.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying just don't sleep on the Suns. They
Yeah,
got pieces.
I think you picked Suns Sixers, right? For the
Yeah,
finals next
for
year.
my way too early finals predictions. Yeah, I did.
Or what about so LeBron's a 98 and I think they should just give him the 99. Like there's
At this
no
point,
flaws.
yeah,
There's no flaws in his game. Like what flaw does he have? Even
literally.
at 35, what flaw?
Yeah, I don't understand that. I don't know why they gave him a 98.
He was a
They should have
99
just
a
went
few
with the
years ago,
99.
and I think he's at his peak right now, and that's crazy to say, but like he should be a 99. And Giannis is a 97.
Yeah, I think it's fair. I think it's fine. Maybe Giannis should be a 96 instead
Yeah,
of 97.
he should be a couple steps below LeBron. He shouldn't be right there with LeBron, honestly.
Mm-hmm. LeBron's still 2 overalls above, in my opinion.
Like LeBron, Giannis's passing is not near LeBron's, in my opinion. Plus his jump shot. Giannis can shoot. Like people say Giannis doesn't have a jumper. He does, kinda, but
Not in the
not
playoffs.
not as consistently as LeBron for sure. So
Yeah, I'm taking LeBron's jumper every day over Giannis.
yeah, Giannis is definitely at least a couple levels below LeBron. So yeah, the ratings are always interesting. I mean, sometimes I wonder how they come to those conclusions.
Yeah, it is interesting.
It has to be stats, but like they probably just plug stats into like an algorithm.
I think that's part of it, yeah. But still.
Yeah, do you have any like final thoughts about anything we've talked about? 2K, the draft, any teams that you would just want to make a quick thought on?
At this point right now, man, I saw a rumor about Drew Holiday getting traded, maybe maybe to the Nuggets as a potential destination, which I think would be amazing for
Yeah, all
both.
these value is pretty high right now.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, look out for that, I guess I'd say. Yeah, we still got a whole off season coming up, so
Yeah, hopefully it'll actually start on December 22nd. Like I know from a player perspective, it's probably not ideal, but from a fan perspective, it's nice. It's a quick turn.
yeah.
So yeah, we should.
I love the off season. I love all the moves that like go down. I love free agency.
Yeah, some people love that even more than the actual season. I mean, I
Yeah,
understand
man.
it's a lot of drama, but
It's so fun. Yeah, I love it. Yeah. So
but yeah,
that's pretty much it.
we should have more content coming up. Maybe even some different content straying away from basketball. Who knows? On the YouTube channel at least. So yeah, that was episode 14 of Blasting Basketballs, and we'll see you next time. Peace.
Peace.